Hey, back again for episode number 133. This is part three of a four-part series focused on momentum because although we are into January now, I want to make sure that you have the momentum that you need and you want to keep going. This week, we are focused all on how to keep going, because sometimes you're giving yourself permission to start, right? And then maybe you get stuck, and we gave you some pointers, or I gave you some pointers on how to get unstuck. But then you may be thinking, but how do I keep going? Things aren't going exactly like I wanted them to go. Perhaps your energy got a little low. So how do I keep going? In part one, we talked about how to start with sub bullets on ditching perfection, getting uncomfortable, and making sure that you have a hype crew. We went ahead and moseyed into part two, focused on how to get unstuck. We talked about getting into a new environment, being honest about what lights you up and sparks excitement. And also, when you're stuck, just get it out, write it out, talk it out. And today, of course, we're going to talk about how to keep going. I'm excited because this week we have officially kicked off our quarter one 2022 Just Start group accountability sessions. If you missed the opportunity, you're just like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I missed the opportunity to join this cohort. We're kicking off another cohort in just a couple of months as a part of our quarter two cohort. And if you want more information on that cohort, if you want to prepare yourself for it, just head over to jacquelinembaker.com/group start to get on the list so you can be informed of when that next cohort opens up. So listen, I think it's time. It's time for me to stop talking so we can start discussing how you can keep going as a part of our focus on momentum for the entire month of January. You ready? I'm ready. Let's roll. Hey, I want to help you get started, to finally start the things that you want to do, to finally give yourself permission to try new things, to finally say yes to exploring new possibilities in your life. But I want you to start smart. The Just Start From Ideas to Action podcast is designed for you to get the tips, tools, resources, and stories from other people who have started so that you can get started too. I've given myself permission to start businesses, write a couple of books, secure a couple of trademarks, and even start this podcast. And I want to share parts of those journeys with you so that you can get a head start on turning your ideas into action. So bring your ideas, bring your challenges, your roadblocks, your hurdles, and your excitement here, and let's get started. All right, so let's get started. Of course, we are within our our four-part series. This is part three of the four-part series focused on momentum for the entire month of January. And today we're going to talk about how to keep going because sometimes we give ourselves permission to start, we get unstuck and we get a little bit stuck and we're like, but how do I keep going here? What do I do? And of course, I want to give you three quick actionable ways that you can consider to just keep going, okay? The first thing I want you to do is to admit forward movement and success. And what I mean when I say admit forward movement and success, sometimes we are not giving ourselves the credit that we deserve because there has already been some progress, some success, some things that you've accomplished, and you're just brushing them off like it's nothing whatsoever. I think about this a lot as it relates to accepting compliments, right? I talk about this a lot in the leadership classes that we teach formally within Scarlet. Because so many times someone will say to you, good job, great job on that report, nice shoes, nice hair, and we downplay it all. Oh, it was nothing. Oh, it really wasn't anything at all. That took me no time. Oh, these old shoes. Oh, I do that report all the time. It's nothing at all. And it is something. Well, sometimes you have to just stop and give yourself permission to admit, hey, I've made progress here. No, things won't be perfect. Sometimes things don't happen in the amount of time that we thought that they were going to happen. But I bet you, once you give yourself permission to get started, there are certain things that you can look back and say, okay, I've made some progress here. There's been some success here. If you just give yourself permission to admit that. Stop brushing off your wins like they're nothing, like you didn't actually really get some stuff done. I want you to admit that there has been forward movement and success, because success begets success. Forward movement is momentum. And when you admit to yourself, yeah, I've gotten some stuff done, right? The wheels get turning, you get excited. But if you just keep saying, I didn't do anything, nothing happened, that was nothing, then guess what? You almost feel defeated. So you need to create your own momentum by admitting your forward movement and success. That's number one. The second thing I want you to keep in mind as it relates to keeping going is to check in with how what you're doing lines up with your overall life thesis. I have talked extensively about your leadership legacy and your life thesis because I teach it in all components of Scarlet, and I talk about it a lot here in the Just Start world as well. There is an opportunity for each and every one of us to be clear, to be intentional, and to be honest with ourselves about the legacy that we want to leave here. All right. And we can do that pretty easily by spending some time in creating our own life thesis statement. If you want to create your own, head over to jacquelinembaker.com/life thesis to just take a second and selfishly create your own life thesis statement. The reason why this is important in this context of keeping going is because sometimes things aren't moving as fast as we want them to. Perhaps things weren't as successful, air quotes, as we thought they were going to be. But truly, you are making progress if the things that you're doing in general are lining up to your overall life thesis. Is this what you want your legacy to be? Is this what you want said about you when you're not in the room or you're no longer here on earth? And so even when things aren't moving as fast as we want them to, ask yourself the question, is the things or are the things that I'm accomplishing, the things that I'm working on, are they laddering up to my life thesis? And if it's a yes, it's still a win. You can still mentally keep going forward, right? And you should mentally keep going forward and even physically as well. So ask yourself the question, are my actions lined up to my life thesis, right? And if it's a no, you have to question like, why am I doing this anyway? All right. So make sure or give yourself permission to check in to see, are my actions lining up with my leadership legacy and my life thesis overall? The third thing I want you to consider is making a roadmap. Okay. And when I say make a roadmap, it's to literally map out what you have going on. Because sometimes we truly believe that we give ourselves permission to start and literally 2 seconds later, everything's going to be successful. It's a journey. I think about the fact that I have been on this journey of teaching modern etiquette and leadership now for 11 years. 11 years. And while we haven't had a crazy amount of pivots in the organization because we've been pretty focused about the impact that we want to make, things do look different operationally for us as an organization. But there was a roadmap in place. First, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. But if I just said, oh, I want to be super successful overnight, make X amount of dollars, impact X amount of lives by tomorrow, yeah, no. But if you have a roadmap and you can see that there's forward movement and progress, you feel better about the fact that, oh, there have been some milestones, some things I've accomplished. Now I can mentally give myself permission to keep going because I'm not expecting things to happen overnight because they rarely do. Okay. So make a roadmap, make a plan, map it out. All right. So let's recap. How do you keep going? You've given yourself permission to get started. Perhaps you've gotten stuck, gotten unstuck, and you're thinking to yourself, but how do I keep going? Consider these three things. First, admit that you have actually had some success. You've had some forward movement. Second is check in with how your actions or the things that you're working on, how it lines up to your overall life thesis and leadership legacy. All right. I also want you to make a roadmap, admitting to yourself that things are not done overnight. And we shouldn't expect for things to be done overnight. But what we can do is we can lean on a plan. We can lean on some check marks. We can lean on a process, a system. Where we're headed, we can map that out to make sure that we're giving ourselves time and space and we're creating realistic scenarios for success. Okay. I mentioned earlier that we are right now in the midst of our Q1 group accountability session for Just Start. And there are excited and exciting people all across the country who are a part of this cohort. Our second cohort is going to kick off in just a couple months, and you can be a part of it. If you want to get on the list, head over to jacquelinembaker.com/group start. All right. Okay. Well, listen, wherever you're at in the world, I hope that you're safe, you're healthy, and you're well. And I hope that you're giving yourself permission to truly start the things that you want to do. Don't be shy. If you have a question, shoot me an email at info@jacquelinembaker.com. All right. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. You take care of yourself and ciao.